They said he fell behind. Just a regular school hike, forest trails, fresh air, laughter, that's all it was. Until we came back, and Eli didn't return. My little brother vanished silently. No screams, no signs, nothing. 12 years old, gone suddenly. 1 minute with us, then air. The Rangers searched 3 weeks, drones, dogs, helicopters, posters. Everywhere, nothing, not a single clue. Mom stopped sleeping altogether, broken nightly. Dad screamed at the sky. I blamed myself. We all did. I should have held his hand. But I was 13, distracted, laughing with my dumb friends. He was just behind me. And then he wasn't there. That guilt never left me. Even after therapy, medication, time, it became a wound inside. Quiet and always bleeding deep. For 6 years we waited. His room stayed untouched, sealed. Mom still whispered his name. Then last Friday, a knock. A slow one. An even rhythm, like a child unsure still. I opened it half asleep. And there he was again. Same green hoodie. Same jeans. Same small scar on chin. And those hazel, tear-filled eyes. He looked 6 years younger. But not just that. He looked untouched by time. No growth. No beard, nothing, exactly as I remembered him. Like someone had paused him and pressed play last week. He stared at me blankly, then said one word, thirsty. My hands trembled so hard. I called out, shaking, Mom, it's him. It's Eli. She ran down crying loudly. Dad behind her, stunned stiff. We hugged him, all of us. But something felt very wrong. His heartbeat was fast, cold. His eyes flickered at corners. He didn't recognize the kitchen, or the couch, or voices. He walked around like visiting, like we were strangers somehow. But he knew our names, and whispered them out weirdly, like practicing inside his head. When Mom asked where he'd been, Eli just blinked and whispered, I was in the trees. And nothing more than that. His feet were dirty, cracked, shoes worn like years past, but his face said yesterday. We rushed him to hospital, blood work, scans, DNA confirmed identity. It was him, all matched. But one thing stood out, his internal clock was frozen. No signs of growth hormones, like his body. Stopped aging. They called it biological stasis. The doctors said, inexplicable event. The news said miracle return. But that night I listened. I heard him whispering alone. To something outside the window. He said, I didn't tell them. He said, they're still watching me? And then he turned slowly, eyes glowing in moonlight pale, and smiled too slowly, unnerving, like someone else was inside. They kept him overnight there, the hospital, under strict observation, monitors on his heart rate, IV fluids, tests, psychological assessments, but nothing explained what happened. He hadn't aged a second. No puberty. No scars healed, just as he was, 12, the same as 6 years ago when he disappeared. To hold him. But beneath that wave of relief was something colder, a feeling like déjà vu, but twisted at the edges. He barely spoke, only whispered, mostly to himself, or walls. He wouldn't answer questions directly, only vague things like, they fed me stories there, or I followed the roots. And the most disturbing, they said you'd forget me. My parents tried to explain it all to doctors, but nothing made sense. No trauma, no bruises, no visible injuries, just mild dehydration and fatigue. He had dirt under nails, leaves tangled in his hair, like he'd emerged from underground, or had never left it. The hospital discharged him early. They had no reason to keep him. Physically, he was fine. Emotionally, they said trauma. They assigned a therapist immediately. We brought him back home, to his old room untouched. Same posters, same bedding, photos. I stood outside that door, watching him stare at everything, like he was walking through a stranger's memories in frames. He touched a photo gently, one of me and him, both in Halloween costumes smiling. He tilted his head sideways, then whispered, "They like this one." That night he didn't sleep. Or maybe he did differently. I walked past his room, and the door was open. Eli sat on the floor, facing the wall, whispering softly, his head tilted downward slowly. He was repeating the phrase, "The moss grows where it listens," over and over again. The next morning he acted completely normal, eating cereal, joking, calling Mom Mama Bear again. Even laughed at my jokes. But when I said, "Remember when we played in snow?" he paused for a moment, then said, "That's not mine." Not, "I don't remember." Not, "I forgot." But that's not my memory. I felt my stomach twist. Dad and Mom just froze. They kept trying to normalize. Kept saying things like, "Time will help him readjust soon." But I could see it in their eyes, that fear. They knew this wasn't right. 2 nights later, it got worse. I woke up around 3:10. The hallway lights were flickering, and I heard humming softly. A melody I didn't recognize, high-pitched, off-key, in a loop. It was coming from Eli's room, but his door was closed. I opened it slowly, careful. And there he was, standing, arms stretched to the ceiling, eyes wide open, not blinking. He was humming that tune, same line over and over. He didn't stop not once. I stepped closer and whispered, "Eli, are you awake?" He slowly turned toward me, smiling just slightly, and said, "They're learning how to be us." Then went straight back to sleep, just collapsed into his bed. The next day he didn't remember. At least that's what he claimed. Hen, I called his name. But something shifted after that. He began drawing obsessively. Dozens of pages, shapes, lines, but never faces. Only trees. Endless rows of trees, twisting, tangling, repeating infinitely. One drawing stood out, though, a symbol in the middle, like a root system merging into a human brain, twisted, labeled in pencil. The listening root. I found that one hidden, under his mattress, folded carefully. When I asked him about it, his face went still again. He whispered, "They didn't like that. They wanted that one erased." I didn't sleep that night. I just kept rereading journals, old ones. I'd kept during the time after he vanished. And then I found something terrifying. Back in 2019, I wrote, "I keep dreaming about trees, about roots whispering my name, about Eli standing in fog." That dream had haunted me, but now it was real. Or maybe it always was. Mom tried to stay calm. She made his favorite meals, lasagna, grilled cheese, mac and cheese. But Eli barely ate anything. He'd just pick at food, staring out the kitchen window, as if watching for something, or listening to distant voices. Dad distracted himself with work. He left earlier, came home later, but I knew he was scared, just like me. One afternoon, I caught Dad on a call in secret, whispering in the garage again. Same clothes, yes, no records. He says odd things sometimes. No, he doesn't seem dangerous. But my daughter's scared of him. He was talking about me. That night I confronted him. He just said, "Your brother's been through something unexplainable, Sarah. And I'll protect this family, whatever it takes." But his eyes betrayed something. Doubt, maybe guilt. The next morning I noticed Eli was missing from bed. I rushed around in panic, then found him in the backyard. He was barefoot, crouched down, digging into the soft dirt. His hands were muddy, shaking. I asked, "What are you doing?" He looked up slowly and whispered, "It was buried under here. I think they left it." I knelt down beside him. There was something metallic showing. We'd pulled it from soil. It was his school ID from the day he vanished. Still intact. Photo faded slightly. The same one we searched for. And behind it, a tooth. A child's tooth, cracked, yellowed. I felt sick. He just held it carefully and said, "They left that for you." Later, in my room alone, I looked up the school, the same hiking trail map, and noticed something odd again. The ranger station had notes. Small, strange reports from 2019, a few hikers claimed. They heard chanting in the woods. One boy went missing briefly. only to be found asleep at the trailhead the next morning. He claimed he followed voices. Said a boy in old clothes called him into the ground. I never told Mom this. I didn't want her unraveling. That night I dreamt again, but it felt more like memory. The woods dot the fog, the roots, and Eli standing in them, but not alone. Behind him, others, kids with hollow eyes, wearing outdated clothes, all humming that same off-key lullaby. I woke up gasping hard and found dirt in my sheets. Was I sleepwalking? Was I losing my mind? Or was something trying to bring me closer? The next evening, something changed. Eli spoke at dinner suddenly, calmly, almost like nothing had been strange this entire time. He said, "Do you remember what you buried in the woods?" My fork dropped. Heart froze. I had never told anyone. Back when I was 10, I buried something in secret. A small time capsule tin, photos, a ribbon, my bracelet, and a note that said, "I'll always protect my brother." I whispered, "How do you know?" He smiled slightly. They showed me. They like memories like that. They keep them. Wear them sometimes. Mom started crying softly. Dad just stood up silently. Eli added one more thing. They said, "You're next, Sarah, because you still remember too much." The next morning, my window cracked. Hairline fracture right through the glass. A shape etched faintly there, like roots branching out wildly. I checked Eli's room, empty, only his drawings on floor. Newer now. More vivid, distorted, faces with no mouths. Trees with eyes, children upside down, and always that same phrase the listening root knows. I looked out the backyard and saw him again, digging, whispering to the dirt again, smiling at something I couldn't see. That's when I decided something. I needed to go back. To the forest. To the trail. To the place where he vanished. Because this wasn't just mystery. This was something ancient, buried, and somehow it wanted me too. I didn't tell Mom. Didn't tell Dad either. They were both unraveling already. One thread away from collapse. But something in me shifted. Like something inside clicked awake. I wasn't just scared now. I was angry, protective, determined. Eli was my little brother. And whatever returned with him, whatever still whispered in his ears, I would face it myself. That night I stayed awake, listening to the strange lullaby. He hummed it unconsciously now, soft, off-key, like underwater breath. Around 2 a.m., the humming stopped. I crept down the hallway. Eli's room was empty again. I saw the back door slightly open, swaying in wind. I followed it outside slowly. Dew-covered grass chilled my feet. The moon was pale orange. Everything felt thick, wrong, waiting. I found him by trees. The ones near the hill, where our backyard meets forest edge. He stood frozen, arms raised, like listening to something enormous, like it was breathing above him. "Eli," I whispered carefully. He turned too quickly. His smile looked rehearsed again. "They asked about you tonight," he said in that voice, the one that wasn't fully his. "They said you used to draw. Do you still?" he asked. I felt my knees weaken. I had drawn once years ago. Mostly trees, roots, forest scenes, and one drawing I buried, the one of me and Eli, holding hands near the listening tree. "I don't draw anymore," I said. "Good," he whispered. "Don't remember either." Then he walked back silently inside. The next morning, I packed flashlight, old trail map, batteries, a knife from Dad's toolbox. And the photo of us. I told Mom I'd study, told Dad I'd be back. Then I drove to the trail, the same one from 2013, the same hill he vanished on. It looked the same almost exactly. Where I last saw his shadow, I kept walking deeper inside. The woods grew dense, darker. Then suddenly, completely silent. No birds, no rustling leaves, just my breath, my heartbeat, and the feeling of something near. Then I saw it again, the tree from my sketch. Black bark, twisted, half dead, its roots looked like fingers reaching. I stepped closer, breath shallow, and saw something below roots. A box, small, metal, rusted. I dug fast with hands, pulled it out, opened it. Inside were 3 items: my bracelet from childhood, a photograph of me sleeping, and another child's tooth. Then I heard a hum from below, like the earth itself vibrated, and a whisper through trees. We remember who forgets. We take what's left behind. I froze, then ran. All the way back. Didn't stop till the car. Didn't breathe until pavement touched tires. That night Eli stared blankly, then asked without blinking, "Did you bury it again?" I couldn't answer. I couldn't lie. But I knew this, whatever Eli was now, whatever came back with him, it hadn't come alone. And it wasn't done yet. We went back that night, back to where he vanished. The same forest trail loop, the same forked dirt path, and somehow it felt wrong. The air hung differently now. It was thick, muffled, quiet. No birds, no night critters, only the sound of leaves crunching beneath our nervous feet. Tyler didn't want to come, but Dad insisted this time. "We need to understand," he said. "We can't keep fearing shadows." Tyler walked between us silently, head down, shoulders stiff, alert, like he remembered this trail but didn't want to admit it. He paused beside an old tree, one with a crook scar and initials carved beneath it. I remembered doing that carving. "TJ, Tyler, and James." "Tyler," I said softly. "Do you remember this tree?" He stared at it long, then whispered, "It was different." "What do you mean different?" Dad stepped forward, suddenly tense. Tyler didn't answer right away. He touched the tree bark like testing if it's real. There were no carvings before. No initials. No broken branch. "I think it changed here." "Changed? What did that mean?" Before I could ask more, Tyler turned and kept walking, deeper into the woods trail. No flashlight, no hesitation, nothing. Just quiet steps and rhythm. Like he was following something, or being pulled toward it. We followed him for minutes. The deeper we went in, the colder the air became. And then Tyler stopped again, at the place they searched, where the search team stopped. He pointed toward the clearing. "This is where I crossed?" "Crossed what?" Dad asked nervously, but Tyler didn't answer. Instead, he knelt and touched the soil beneath the leaves, then began brushing it away, dirt, damp, moss, small stones. Something wooden peeked through. A board, part of something buried. He kept digging with hands until a flat panel showed fog. There wasn't fog before, but suddenly, the trail disappeared, trees changed. And then I found this. He knocked on the doorframe. It made a hollow echo. I opened it, went inside, and I don't know how. But it wasn't a room. Dad interrupted. "Wasn't a room?" Tyler's eyes locked with his. It was like a loop. A world inside a world. No sky, no floor, nothing. Just a memory of everything. It replayed, over and over. The day I went missing. But sometimes with changes. "What kind of changes?" I asked. Tyler hesitated. His voice cracked. "Sometimes I wasn't alone. Sometimes I saw another me, another him." That word hit. Dad backed away a little. Tyler continued like in trance. "There was always a voice. It sounded like Mom's voice, but I knew it wasn't. It asked me to stay, told me time was safe. Safe from pain, from growing. Safe from memory, from death. I tried to leave once, but the door was gone. I could feel my spine freeze." Dad looked like he'd aged 10 years standing in silence. I don't know how long, but I think it watched me. I stopped aging because it decided. I stepped back from the door. "You're saying something kept you?" Tyler nodded slowly, biting lip. "I think it made me forget. Until I found something buried." "What?" Dad asked sharply. Tyler answered with a whisper. "Your voice, Dad, you screaming?" It was like thunder breaking glass. Everything inside the loop shattered, and I saw the door again. I ran through it. I ran until I woke. I looked at the wooden hatch. It was real. Covered again. No glow. No sound, nothing, but it had been opened. And Tyler had walked out just last week. Still 12. I wanted to scream, cry. This wasn't science. Not logic. It was madness. Forest madness. And yet, I believed him. Because his drawings matched everything. Because his memories were specific. Because he remembered Mom's lullaby and the exact scar on his knee from age 6. But also because he shouldn't exist. Not anymore. Not like this. Dad sat down heavily nearby. His hands trembled like storms. I heard you calling too. We looked at him stunned. He whispered, "For years, Tyler. I heard you at night, calling from that damn forest." I thought I was going mad. I never told James here, but some nights I walked until the trees swallowed me. Then I'd wake up suddenly, always in my bed, sweating. Was the forest calling us? Was it more than woods? Tyler looked at us both, his face filled with dread. "It's not done with me," he whispered like confessing sin. "I think, it followed me out. I didn't sleep that night. Not after what Tyler said. Not after what we saw. That buried door. His voice. I kept hearing his words. It followed me back out. What does that even mean? What followed him? A shadow? A memory? Something worse?" Dad stayed downstairs all night. He didn't say much anymore. Just stared out the window, facing the woods beyond town. I saw him clenching something. A photo of Tyler, aged. The one we kept framed. The boy that never grew. Now that boy was home? Still 12. Still the same. But not really the same. The next morning it began. Things around the house shifted. Subtle at first, barely noticeable. A glass on the table moved when no one touched it. Doors creaked at wrong times. The hallway light flickered twice. And then Tyler changed. He spoke less, stared more. At corners, walls, the mirror, especially the mirror. Too long. I caught him once at 2 a.m. Just standing in the hallway, not moving, just breathing slow, staring into the bathroom mirror. "Tyler?" I asked, scared now. He turned his head slowly, his face blank, eyes heavy. "I don't think I'm alone." My stomach dropped hard. "What do you mean alone?" He didn't answer that time, just turned and walked away. The next day was worse. He didn't eat, barely blinked. And once he called me Dad. Not just accidentally, repeatedly. I pulled him aside immediately. "Tyler, look at me, please." "You know who I am?" He looked confused. "You're not James?" My breath caught in fear. "I am, Tyler. It's me." He shook his head slowly. "No, you used to smile." What did that even mean? Was he forgetting? Or blending timelines? Was something else remembering through him? I told Dad everything instantly. He didn't seem surprised anymore. He just nodded, like expecting it. Then he opened the drawer, pulled out something dusty. Locked box. Inside was a forest map, old, faded, unfamiliar to me. But Dad pointed to markings. I found this the 3rd year, after he vanished. After dreams. It's not a park map, but it matches the sounds. "The sounds?" I asked, confused. He nodded, every time I heard him. "It came from this spot?" "The same one with the door, but marked with a symbol, a spiral, with a slash. Underneath, do not return alone." "Someone left this," Dad said. "Maybe someone who escaped too." My hands trembled, touching paper. "What do we do now?" He looked toward Tyler's room. "We stop pretending he's cured." We went in together, cautious. Tyler sat on the bed. But he wasn't facing us. He was talking to the mirror. "No, not yet," he whispered. "I told you." "I'm not ready." Then silence. Then he smiled. But it wasn't his smile. Too wide, too sharp, wrong. Dad called his name loudly. "Tyler, stop, look at me. Tyler blinked like waking up. His voice cracked when he asked, "Did I talk to it again?" I froze where I stood. "Yes," I whispered. "Who is it?" He looked down in shame. "It never told me its name. But it's from inside the door. And it doesn't like you." My legs nearly gave out. "What does it want, Tyler?" His next words changed everything. "It wants someone else now. It wants, you, James." Dad and I took turns keeping watch every night after. But it didn't matter anymore. Because that night it entered. Not the house. The dream. I saw the forest again. But wrong. Backward. Looping forever. Tyler ran ahead of me, laughing, 12 years old again. I tried calling his name, but my voice didn't work. Only the trees responded whispers. Then the door appeared again. Same hatch in the earth. But this time it opened. I didn't move. I couldn't. Something stepped through from inside. Not Tyler, not me either. It looked like both of us, but twisted, hollow, gray-eyed. "You opened it," it said. Its voice like wind and ash. "You heard him. You believed." I woke up screaming hard, sweating, breathless. Dad was already awake. He had the same dream. "It's choosing," he whispered, horrified. "Between you and me now." The door wanted someone back. They couldn't keep Tyler anymore. But it wouldn't stay closed. It followed him into us. In dreams. In mirrors. In time. He sleeps in the room we once shared. Same bed, same window, but he feels hollow. Nights are the hardest. He stares at ceilings, sometimes talking in whispers to someone I can't see. Someone who's listening. He still remembers things we never told him. Grandma's purple sweater drawer. The scar behind Dad's left ear. My diary I buried when angry. But he also forgets. He called Mom nurse on her birthday last week. And once he asked, "What's my dog's name?" He cried afterward, ashamed. His body's the same. But time missed him. And now it's catching up in broken pieces, slowly. Doctors say trauma. Police say miracle. But none of them lived the hike with him. None of them heard what I did last night. He stood by the hallway mirror, just still. And in that silence he whispered one sentence. "The woods let me out. But they kept my shadow." I didn't sleep after. How could I? Knowing my brother's not alone. The school tried pretending nothing strange had happened. They let him back, same uniform, same desk. Same teacher pretending not to flinch. When he walked in holding nothing but that old compass. They never found his school bag or his phone. But that compass, it always points the wrong way. He doesn't talk much during class, but once he drew a map. No labels, no names. Just winding paths and a large X marked with the word beneath. Our parents framed it, thinking it was progress. I hit it yesterday. It made the hallway feel colder, somehow darker. The nightmares come often. Not just for him. I've seen my mom standing in the yard at 3 a.m., barefoot, trembling. She says she hears a second voice, whispering his words through the trees. Dad bought new locks. Installed security cameras everywhere. They catch flickers sometimes. A figure at dusk, blurry, always near trees, but never shows a face. My brother drew it once in charcoal pencil. A child-shaped blur with eyes like polished mirrors. He taped it behind our shared bedroom door. He says that's what the woods kept instead. I thought it was just trauma at first. Stress, confusion, lost time. But 2 nights ago, I caught him standing at the window again. His reflection blinked. Differently. Sight of fruit. And one morning, I found him burying something in the backyard mud. It was a sock. Burnt at the edges. Too small for him. Definitely not one of ours. Still damp somehow. When I asked him why, he said quietly, "They told me to." I asked, "Who told you?" He whispered, "The old version." That night, I checked the school's photo albums. He's in last year's, but not the one from 7 years ago. It's been altered, faked. I remember that trip. He was there. Now, he's not in any of the group photos. Like he never existed. Our town had one other boy go missing years before Jamie Whitlock. He vanished near that same forest edge. Cold case. Closed quietly, forgotten, my brother says. Jamie walks in his dreams and hands him matches. Why matches? He shrugs. Because the soil's wet. I showed him videos from his childhood birthday parties. He watched like a stranger might watch a home movie, polite but distant. He pointed at himself on the screen and asked, what was his name? I swallowed hard. Yours. He nodded, smiled faintly, then asked, what if he never came back? I didn't answer that. I couldn't. How could I? Because in my heart, I already knew the answer to his question. One night in whispers, he told me everything. There's a space beneath the forest, below the roots, a place that remembers what people want forgotten. And if you sit still enough, it listens. It doesn't take you, he said. It rewrites you, like someone erasing pages from a journal halfway through, then filling in new words with old ink. So you look the same, but something's off. Out of order, bent, he drew me a map in crayon chalk. The clearing by the dead pine tree, where the shadows never move, and beneath it, silence. He wrote one word underneath the drawing, replaceable. Now I sit here, holding that paper, watching him sleep with eyes half open, like he's dreaming with one foot outside the world. Still humming, still hearing something I can't, and I wonder if the boy we lost ever actually returned, or if this one was sent back instead. If this story gripped you, don't forget to subscribe, and share it with someone who loves emotional mysteries that haunt you long after they're over. More twisted stories are coming next week, and you won't believe what happens in the next one.